The galaxy of Vela Zerona was a place where stars collided in beauty and chaos, where planets spun silently holding civilizations old as time. On the planet of Erythia, turmoil reigned as the young Princess Seraphine faced a fate seemingly sealed by the stars themselves. Princess Seraphine, heir to the crystalline throne of Erythia, was born with a mysterious ailment that left her body frail and her future uncertain. The illness was enigmatic, defying the advanced medical technologies and the best healers that the galaxy had to offer. It wove through her like a dark thread, tainting her days with pain and her nights with despair. Her condition was not just a personal tragedy, but a state crisis. In the matriarchal society of Erythia, the vitality of the royal line was considered a direct reflection of the planet's health. With Seraphine's illness, whispers of instability and uncertainty began to spread, casting shadows over her reign even before it had truly begun. Seraphine's mother, Queen Isolde, watched her daughter's vibrant spirit wane as the illness took its toll. Desperation led her to seek help beyond their star system, a decision that was as controversial as it was hopeful. It was then that Dr. Eli Wallace, a human doctor known across the galaxies for his unconventional methods and miraculous cures, was summoned to Erythia. Dr. Wallace arrived on Erythia amidst a storm of skepticism mixed with a desperate hope. He was different from what the Erythians expected, a man of science with a gentle demeanor, who carried a satchel filled with strange instruments and old earthly books. His reputation preceded him, stories of cured plagues and revitalized planets adding weight to his presence. Princess Seraphine met him on a rainy evening in the luminescent gardens of the palace, where the raindrops turned into shimmering, fleeting pearls as they touched the bioluminescent flora. Despite her weakening body, her mind was sharp, her eyes reflecting a sky full of stars and a willpower as indomitable as the enduring mountains of Erythia. "Dr. Wallace, they say you can cure the incurable," Seraphine said, her voice a melodic whisper, yet carrying the strength of her resolve. "But can you restore hope where it has long faded?" Eli looked at the young princess, feeling the weight of her simple yet profound question. "Hope, Your Highness, is where my medicine starts," he replied with a warm, reassuring smile. Their first meeting marked the beginning of an extraordinary journey. Eli's approach was unlike anything the Erythians had seen. He combined advanced human medical technology with the holistic methods of Erythia, creating a bespoke treatment plan for Seraphine. Each session was intensive, stretching over hours as Eli monitored her responses to various treatments, meticulously noting down observations in his old leather-bound journal. As days turned into weeks, there were subtle yet unmistakable signs of improvement in Seraphine. The color returned to her cheeks, her steps became firmer, and her laughter, once rare, now filled the corridors of the palace more frequently. With each passing day, hope rekindled not just in the heart of the princess but across the entire kingdom. However, the journey was fraught with challenges. Political adversaries viewed Eli's influence with suspicion, casting aspersions and plotting to undermine his efforts. Rumors began to circulate, questioning his methods and the growing bond between him and Seraphine, a bond that transcended patient and healer, hinting at a deeper connection forged in the crucible of her recovery. As the chapter closes, a grand ball was announced to celebrate Seraphine's recovery, a declaration to the universe of her return to health and vitality. Behind the scenes, tension simmered as forces unseen moved to disrupt this newfound peace, setting the stage for a confrontation that could unravel everything Eli and Seraphine had worked towards. As the grand ball approached, the palace of Erythia transformed. Luminescent vines were draped along the vast halls, casting a gentle glow that mirrored the renewed health of Princess Seraphine. The entire kingdom buzzed with energy, a collective breath held in anticipation of the celebration that was to affirm their future queen's resurgence. Dr. Eli Wallace, meanwhile, found his work scrutinized more than ever. Each remedy and session with Seraphine had become a critical performance, a display of his capability to not just heal her body, but to safeguard the future of a whole planet. As he prepared for another treatment session, he felt the prying eyes of the court on him, the air thick with both curiosity and doubt. "Do they always watch this closely?" Eli asked Seraphine as they sat in the privacy of the royal infirmary, a place outfitted with both Erythian and Earth technologies. "It's not you they watch," Seraphine replied with a smile, her strength evident in her increasingly spirited demeanor. "It's the hope you represent. To them, you are a harbinger of change, and change is both revered and feared." Their conversations often meandered from her health to the state of the kingdom. It was during one such discussion that Seraphine confided in Eli about the political pressures that were mounting against her. Certain factions within the nobility saw her prolonged illness and dependence on an outsider for recovery as signs of weakness. Eli listened, his expression one of understanding and concern. He was no stranger to the politics of healing. His career had seen many such instances where his medical interventions were viewed through the lens of political gain or loss. "Your recovery is what matters," Eli assured her, placing a comforting hand over hers. "Let the results speak for themselves." The evening of the ball arrived, and the palace was a spectacle of light and color. Guests from across the galaxy arrived, their various forms and attire a testament to the diversity of life forms within the Federation. Seraphine, dressed in a gown that shimmered like the surface of her home planet's famous crystal lakes, stood beside Eli, her presence a declaration of triumph over her ailments. As the music swelled and the dance floor filled, the atmosphere was electric with celebration and subtle machinations. Eli kultsense ze underkurrents of intrige weaving trug ze kraut. His connection with Seraphine had not gone unnoticed, and while many toasted to her health, others whispered about the influence he wielded. Midway through the evening, as Eli excused himself to retrieve a fresh drink for the princess, he was subtly cornered by Lord Vireo, a high-ranking noble known for his sharp political acumen and his skepticism of Seraphine's recovery. "Dr. Wallace, your efforts with our princess are commendable," Lord Vireo began, his voice smooth as silk yet carrying an edge. "But do tell, what do you plan to do once the princess is fully recovered? Will you remain at the Erythian court?" Eli, aware of the veiled probing, replied with diplomatic caution. "My duty is to ensure Princess Seraphine's health is restored. As for what follows, that will depend on where I'm needed next. My commitment is to medicine, not politics." Lord Vireo smiled thinly, his eyes glinting with unspoken thoughts. "Indeed, Doctor. Yet, medicine often finds itself entwined with the fate of empires. Be wary of where your loyalties lie." As Eli returned to Seraphine's side, the weight of Lord Vireo's words hung heavy. The evening concluded with a display of fireworks that lit up the Erythian sky, mirroring the fireworks of political and personal revelations that were just beginning to spark. In the aftermath of the grand ball, the palace of Erythia settled into a deceptive calm. The political undercurrents that had surfaced at the event did not dissipate. Instead, they flowed deeper, becoming more turbulent beneath the surface. Eli, despite his primary focus on Seraphine's health, could not ignore the shifting dynamics around him. One morning, as Erythia's twin suns cast a golden glow over the royal gardens, Seraphine and Eli took a walk among the towering silverleaf trees, an opportunity to discuss her progress and the rising tensions within the court. "Since the ball, I felt stronger, more myself than I have in years," Seraphine confided, her voice vibrant, a stark contrast to the frail whispers of months past. "But with strength returns the weight of the crown, and the eyes that watch, waiting for a sign of weakness." Eli nodded, his mind processing her words through the lens of both healer and confidant. "You are not just battling an illness, but also the expectations and manipulations of those who would see you as a puppet queen." "It's more than that," Seraphine paused, her gaze fixed on the horizon where the garden met the sky. "There are those who believe my reliance on an outsider, on you, undermines our traditions. They fear I will bring too much of Earth into Erythia." Eli considered this, aware that his presence had become a symbol of change, one not universally welcomed. "Perhaps it is time to demonstrate that your recovery is not just about my interventions, but about your resilience and capability as the future queen." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a royal messenger, breathless and bearing news. "Your Highness, Doctor, there has been an incident at the eastern border. Unknown vessels have entered Erythian space." The political implications were immediate and serious. Seraphine's expression hardened with resolve. "We must attend to this. Eli, vil you stand ved me?" Without hesitation, Eli agreed. The situation presented an opportunity to support Seraphine not just in health but in her role as leader. They moved quickly to the Situation Room, a high-tech nexus of Erythian defense, where holographic displays showed the encroaching vessels and their unknown insignias. As they strategized with the Council, Eli's background in xenomedicine provided a unique perspective, particularly in dealing with potential biological threats. His integration into the discussions, initially met with resistance, gradually became valued as his contributions proved insightful. The crisis lasted hours, stretching into the night as they monitored the situation and responded with a series of careful maneuvers. Under Seraphine's command, they managed to communicate with the intruders, who turned out to be refugees seeking sanctuary from a war-torn sector of the galaxy. Seraphine's decision to offer aid and refuge was both a political and humanitarian gesture, one that solidified her standing both among her people and within the galaxy at large. The refugees' plight, broadcast across Erythian networks, showed a compassionate and capable leader, countering the narratives of weakness that her adversaries had hoped to exploit. After the crisis, Eli and Seraphine stood together in the quiet of the empty Situation Room. "Today, you showed your people the queen you will be," Eli said, his voice filled with admiration and sincerity. Seraphine looked at him, her eyes reflecting the depth of the night sky. "And I could not have done it without you. But the path ahead remains fraught. We must navigate it carefully, for the well-being of Erythia and for our own." The decision to grant asylum to the refugees brought new challenges to Seraphine's reign. While many praised her compassionate leadership, others worried about the resources and security implications. The palace was abuzz with strategic meetings, resource allocation discussions, and diplomatic talks to ensure that the integration of the refugees did not destabilize Erythia. Amidst this, the relationship between Eli and Seraphine deepened, their professional collaboration blending into a profound bond. Each challenge they faced together solidified their respect and care for one another. Yet, in the corridors of power, this growing closeness did not go unnoticed or unchallenged. One evening, as the silver moons of Erythia hung low in the sky, casting a serene light over the royal conservatory, Eli and Seraphine shared a rare moment of quiet. They discussed the latest developments in the refugee crisis, but the conversation soon turned personal. "Eli, have you ever considered what your life will be once my health no longer requires your constant attention?" Seraphine asked, her voice tinged with a mix of hope and hesitation. Eli paused, considering her words. "I've thought about it, yes. But my place is here, for now, helping you navigate these challenges," he replied, his tone careful, aware of the complexities his answer entailed. The next day brought an unforeseen complication. During a routine medical examination, Eli discovered an anomaly in the data from Seraphine's latest tests. The readings suggested a potential resurgence of her condition, a possibility that cast a shadow over the recent strides they had made. Worried but resolute, Eli conducted further tests using both Erythian and human technologies. As he worked, the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on him. Not only was Seraphine's health at risk, but her political adversaries might use her illness as a leverage point to push their agendas. The results confirmed his fears. The illness was indeed manifesting again, albeit differently this time. Seraphine took the news with stoic calm, her mind immediately turning to the implications for her leadership. "We must keep this confidential, Eli. Until we know more, until we can formulate a response," she insisted, her leadership instincts kicking in. Eli agreed, aware of the stakes involved. Their secret did not remain hidden for long. A leak within the palace medical team led to rumors swirling through the royal court. The news of Seraphine's health, distorted by whispers and speculations, began to undermine the recent gains in public confidence. Confronted with a crisis of faith and leadership, Seraphine and Eli convened a closed session with her most trusted advisors. They debated strategies, ranging from public disclosure and rallying public support to more aggressive countermeasures against those who would use the information against her. Amid these strategic discussions, Seraphine turned to Eli, her gaze firm yet filled with vulnerability. "This is not just a battle for my health, but for the heart of Erythia. I need you now, more than ever." Determined, Eli worked tirelessly, combining his medical expertise with Erythian holistic practices in hopes of stabilizing her condition. Meanwhile, Seraphine faced her governing duties with renewed vigor, determined to show her people, and her detractors, that her strength was not diminished by her physical condition. As they navigated these tumultuous waters, the bond between Eli and Seraphine served as their anchor, each finding solace in the other's steadfast presence. Their shared resolve to overcome these trials not only fortified their commitment to Erythia's future, but also to each other. The political atmosphere within the palace thickened with tension as factions maneuvered in the shadows, aiming to exploit Seraphine's renewed health crisis. Despite the privacy of their strategy meetings, it was clear that every decision, every whispered conference was under scrutiny. Eli, who had become as much a strategist as a physician, delved deeper into his research, seeking not only a cure but also a shield against the political fallout. He consulted with experts from other planets discreetly, integrating alien medical insights with Erythian biology, driven by the urgency of Seraphine's deteriorating condition. Meanwhile, Seraphine faced the court with a facade of unwavering strength. During a crucial assembly where her leadership was implicitly questioned, she delivered a speech that subtly reinforced her resolve and capability, addressing the concerns over the refugee integration and resource management. Her words were measured and powerful, each sentence crafted to remind her allies and adversaries alike of her rightful place on the throne. After all, she declared, true leadership is tested not in times of comfort and conformity, but in periods of challenge and change. We are more than the sum of our fears, and together we shall rise above them. The assembly responded with a mixture of applause and murmurs. While many were swayed by her oratory, others remained skeptical, their doubts fueled by the persistent rumors of her illness. As the political games intensified, an unexpected ally emerged from among the refugees, a renowned xenobiologist, Dr. Lorana, who had fled her war-torn planet with valuable knowledge in alien diseases. Eli, upon learning of her background, immediately sought her collaboration. Dr. Lorana was cautious at first, aware of the complexities of Erythian politics, but the chance to aid their benevolent hostess motivated her to share her expertise. Together, they explored potential treatments involving rare compounds, some of which had never been used on Erythia. The risks were significant, but so were the potential rewards. As they worked late into the nights, testing and retesting the new therapies in the lab, a bond of professional respect and shared purpose formed between Eli and Lorana. Seraphine, aware of the experimental treatments being developed, consented to the trials, her trust in Eli unwavering. "Do what you must," she urged him, her voice a mix of fatigue and determination. "I trust you, Eli. Not just as my doctor, but as my friend." The first round of treatments showed promising results. Seraphine's vitality seemed to improve, her moments of weakness becoming less frequent. Encouraged by these signs, Eli and Dr. Lorana prepared for more comprehensive application of the therapy, hopeful yet cautious of potential side effects. In the midst of these medical advancements, the palace was abuzz with preparations for the Festival of Renewal, an ancient celebration symbolizing rebirth and resilience. Seraphine decided to use the festival as a platform to fully reclaim her strength and quell any doubts about her leadership. She planned to publicly address her health challenges, tying them to the broader theme of renewal, both personal and planetary. As the festival neared, the palace was adorned with symbols of regeneration: phoenixes, rising suns, and blooming flowers. Seraphine rehearsed her speech, each word infused with her personal struggle and her vision for Erythia's future. The night of the festival arrived, bathed in the glow of the twin moons and the light of thousands of lanterns. As Seraphine stepped onto the stage, her figure was silhouetted against a backdrop of stars. The crowd fell silent, the air thick with anticipation. Eli watched from the sidelines, his heart full of mixed emotions, hope, anxiety, and an overwhelming pride in the woman who had grown from patient to ruler in the truest sense. The Festival of Renewal was a resplendent affair, illuminating the capital of Erythia with a brilliance that echoed across its valleys and peaks. As Princess Seraphine stood before her people, her silhouette bathed in the soft light of lanterns, she embodied the essence of the festival itself: rebirth and resilience. "Today we gather not just to celebrate a tradition, but to affirm our journey through trials to triumph," Seraphine began, her voice strong and clear, carrying over the crowd. The square was packed, the faces of her subjects reflecting the flickering lights, their expressions a mosaic of anticipation and awe. "I stand before you, not as an infallible ruler, but as one of you, tempered by adversity, strengthened by your support, and dedicated to the prosperity of our world." Her honesty struck a chord, the crowd murmuring in approval, their respect palpable in the hushed tones of their responses. Eli watched from the side, his eyes never leaving Seraphine. He saw in her not just a ruler, but a visionary who had overcome her own vulnerabilities to lead her people with integrity and courage. The medical treatments had played their part, stabilizing her condition enough to allow her this moment, but it was her spirit that captivated the audience. As Seraphine spoke of the challenges, her illness, the political strife, and the integration of the refugees, she wove her narrative into the fabric of Erythia's identity, highlighting the unity and collective strength that had emerged from these tests. "Our trials were not endured in vain," she declared. "Together, we have turned adversity into opportunity, fear into fortitude. And just as I have been renewed in health and purpose, so too has our beloved Erythia." The applause was thunderous, a wave of approval and support that swept across the square. People cheered, their voices blending into a symphony of hope and renewal. After her speech, Seraphine descended from the stage to mingle with her people, a move that broke the barriers between royalty and commoners. Eli remained close, his presence a silent reassurance. As they walked through the crowd, the respect and affection for Seraphine were undeniable, her openness about her struggles having deepened the bond with her subjects. Later, as the festival continued with music and dancing, Eli and Seraphine shared a quiet moment away from the festivities. They stood overlooking the palace gardens, now a sea of light and shadow. "You were remarkable tonight," Eli said, his voice filled with admiration. Seraphine turned to him, her face illuminated by the soft lunar light. "I could not have done it without you, Eli. You brought me back from the brink, not just in body but in spirit." Their conversation drifted to the future, plans for further medical advancements with Dr. Lorana's help, strategies to strengthen the political and economic structures, and personal hopes and dreams. It was a conversation full of possibilities, the future unwritten but promising. As the festival drew to a close, the first light of dawn tinged the sky with hues of pink and gold. Eli and Seraphine watched in silence, a comfortable, companionable stillness between them. "This is not the end but a new beginning," Seraphine said softly, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Eli nodded, his hand finding hers, their fingers intertwining naturally. "A new beginning for us all,"